Hi, welcome to automationtesting.in. In this video, we will see Python identifiers. So what do you mean by identifier and what is this identifier in Python? Okay, we will see. So Python identifier is a name given to entities like, means you are giving a name to something, any entity it is. Okay, so Python identifier is a name given to entities like to the classes, to the modules, to the functions, to the variables, etc. Means you are identifying something. If you want to identify something, how you will identify? Means you need to give a name. So I am saying I am learning a programming language. So what programming language you are learning? So when I say Python, then you will come to know, okay, you are learning Python. If I say Java, you are learning Java. If you say something JavaScript, so okay, you are learning JavaScript. If I say simply programming language, then how other people will come to know that what programming language you are learning. You need to identify that with a name. The same way in Python also, there is a class. How you will identify that is a class? There is a module. How will make sure that that is a module? Right. So for that, we will use identifiers. Okay. So the Python identifier is a name given to entities like classes, modules, functions, and variables, etc. So it helps to differentiate one entity from another. So uh, if it is a programming language, you will write some code. So that code comes under a class, whether it comes under a module, whether it is a variable, or it comes under a function, how you'll make sure differentiate that. So for that, we'll use some names. So that is called Python identifier. Okay. So do you have any rules or conventions for Python identifier? Okay, I'll give some name. So while giving that name, do you have any rules to name something? Right. So we have so many rules. We cannot straight away, you cannot use anything to mention classes or modules or functions, whatever it is. Okay. So you need to follow some rules. So we'll see one by one that rule. Python identifiers can be a combination of letters in lowercase or uppercase or digits or underscore. Means when you're giving any name to class or module or function, anything. So you need to use lowercase, means small a to small z, uppercase capital A to capital Z. Coming to the digits, you can use 0 to 9. And apart from all these things, you can use one of the special characters called underscore also. Okay. So these are all, you say like, you can use these things for an identifier. Okay. So coming to the next point, identifiers are case sensitive, means uppercase means uppercase, lowercase means lowercase. Okay. So very case sensitive. Uh, let's assume I have given ABC, small ABC, and I have given capital ABC. So both are different. Oh, while you reading, it might be ABC, but small ABC is different and capital ABC also different. So identifiers are case sensitive. You need to remember this thing. And class names start with uppercase letters. Okay. So when you're writing any class, it should start with uppercase. And all other identifiers starts with a lowercase letter. Okay. So when you're creating a class, you need to use capital letter. Apart from that, any other things, you need to use lowercase. Okay. An identifier should not start with a digit or digits. Okay. So when you're naming something, you should not use digit as a first character. Okay, it should not start with digit. Keywords cannot be used as identifiers. What is keyword? So some predefined words specially reserved for Python. Okay, those are called keywords. We will see as a separate video what is keyword, how many keywords are there, what is the purpose of these things, everything. But if something is reserved for Python, that reserved word you cannot use for an identifier. Okay. So the next point, an identifier can start with underscore, right? It cannot start with digit, but it can start with underscore. Okay. Starting an identifier with a single underscore indicates that the identifier is private. Okay. So when you're starting an identifier with underscore, means single underscore, then that identifier is a private one. So what is private and all these things we'll discuss later. Starting an identifier with two underscores indicates that the identifier is strongly private identifier. So we can start with single underscore and double underscore also. Both are possible in Python. If an identifier also ends with two underscores, the identifier is a language defined special name and also known as magic methods. So we'll see all these things in our upcoming videos, but just an information in this identifiers means if an identifier is ends with double underscore, then that is called a language defined special name and also known as magic methods. Okay. Already discussed that reserved words or keywords cannot be used as a identifiers, so might be duplicate. Dollar symbol is not allowed in Python identifier. So you cannot use dollar symbol in Python identifier. No length limit for Python identifiers. When you're giving a name, so there is no limit for the characters. But it is not recommended. It should be some valid name, right? Meaningful name or valid name you should give. So we'll see some examples or exercise we'll do. So I'll take one identifier, whether it is valid or not, we'll discuss. So the first identifier is 123 sample. So as one of the rules says that the identifier should not start with a digit. So but here I'm giving 123 sample. Whether it is valid or not, so it is not a valid. But sample 123 means it's starting with the alphabets. It's not with a digit. So it is a valid one. So Python 3 language means the digit came in between of two strings or between the characters. So it should not start with the digit, but it might be in the middle, right? So it's a valid one. So cash. So we should not use dollar symbol, right? So but here I'm using dollar symbol. So it's not a valid one. Underscore ABC underscore PQR and underscore means an identifier can start with underscore, right? So it is a valid one. Def. I have given a separate color. The previous ones I used black color, but this one I used blue color. The reason is def is a reserved keyword for the Python. So if it is a reserved keyword, I cannot use this def for any identifier. Okay, so it's not valid. If if is also a keyword, so you cannot use this one. All right. So this is sample exercise that by taking one sample identifier, whether it is valid or not, we are matching this with our rules. The next one means we'll see one example program by taking these things. So we'll go to our Python programs folder. I'll try to create one file here under this. I'll name it as, how we can name it? So we can say identifiers .py. So I'm naming identifiers.py, just an example. So the rule, all right. I'll say sample 1 to 3. is equals to, I'll name uh, Python. Right, I'll give something Python. So I want to print this one. Okay. To print, we have print inside this sample 123. Okay. So I stored this Python into this variable and I am printing that. Okay. So I'll go to here and Python, then identifiers.py. You see that it is printing Python. Means as it is starting with what? A character, means it's not with digit. So now what I'll do, 123 sample is equals to, I can give something else, programming language, something like that. I want to print this. Okay, 123 sample. So don't bother about all the, if you are not clear anything here, do not bother about that. We'll discuss everything step by step in our upcoming videos. But I cannot use as an identifier using, I mean, starting with a digit. So the moment when I run this now, you see that you will get one of the errors called syntax error, invalid syntax. Okay. So invalid syntax error. So there is a problem in your syntax. So because of that, I'm not able to execute this. So I'll comment. Comment means the hash symbol is a comment for that. So when you put comment in front of any line, that can be ignored. So now it will not bother about these two lines of code, that is ignored code. So again, if I run this program, now it will simply print Python. Okay. So I can say cache is equals to, I can say cache. Again, I want to print this cache. Print cache. Okay, there is a dollar symbol. If I try to execute this, you see that again syntax error, invalid syntax. So I cannot use dollar. So we are proving that. We have seen theoretically in the PPT. Now we are proving that whether that is correct or not. All right. So we have seen Python 3 programming. Okay. Is equal, I can say this is a sample program. Okay. So I want to print this Python 3 programming. I'm using digit in between. Okay. So the moment when I run this now, you see that it's a valid. I'm getting Python and this is a sample program. Means this 3 is allowed, I mean, the digit is allowed in between, but it should not start with, it should not, the identifier should not start with digit. Okay. And then what we have seen, so we can say underscore and one, and we'll see one predefined keyword, means reserved keyword. So underscore abc underscore pqr underscore something is equals to, this is a Python script, something like that I have mentioned. I'll print it. Okay, whether I can valid identifier or not. Okay, I'm printing that value. So I'll execute again here. You see that this is a Python script, means it is valid. We'll take one def is equals to definition, something like that. I'm giving some dummy string, but the moment you see that it is in blue color. When I'm writing something, some other identifiers, those are in black color, but the moment when I use the predefined keyword, it is giving me some other color. So I'll try to print this def. We'll see what happens now. You see that again, syntax error, invalid syntax. Okay, so we have seen all these things, right? So we cannot use predefined keywords for identification purpose. It cannot be used as a identifier. Okay, so that's all in this video. Thank you for watching this video. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel for further interesting updates.